Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And welcome back to the Para Cave podcast. Troy Warner here, and this is part number 2 of the interview with Elliott Lovejoy. I hope you really enjoyed part number 1. Or sometimes if you want to, you can put parts 1 and 2 together and listen to the whole thing. So if you haven't already listened to part number 1. But anyway, this is part number 2 and a really enjoyable chat with Elliott. I really hope you enjoy it as much as I did. I probably could have spoken to Elliott longer about rugby league, the greatest game of all, as you will find out where that term was coined, and as I said, you can hear Elliott on Triple M Gold Coast Dead Set Legends, and also as the sideline eye on Triple M as well. So keep an ear out for his voice; it will become more recognisable. But anyway, over to the second part of the interview with Elliott Lovejoy. Enjoy.
She was all rugged up. She'd done it pretty well. I'd mismanaged it. It was hard to enjoy the game. That was easily the hardest one I've done. It was so cold.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Former players, Canberra does get a mention a lot. I actually was the coldest I've ever been has been at Leichhardt Oval one night. I think it was 1998. It was raining. It was windy, and I've been to Canberra a few times. And I was colder at Leichhardt than I was at Canberra.
Oh wow! That night I'll never forget that night. We interviewed Xavier Savage after the game, and he's from North Queensland. I said, brother, how do you do this? He said, I haven't gotten used to it. He said, I'd get the fireplace going at home. I'll rock the thermals. I'm straight in the hot tub after this. But yeah, he said I'd just try and sprint, get a runaway early in the game, not to help the team, but more to get the blood flowing. So.
Yeah, that sounds all right. Now, State of Origin. Who do you support in State of Origin? Is it New South Wales?
Yeah. Born in Tamworth, so New South Wales.
Yeah.
Yep.
Must be hard then living up in Queensland to State of Origin time.
Yeah, it wasn't last year, but it was for a number of ones before then. It's fun. I actually love it. You know what? Because my best mates, most of them are in Brisbane, and if we can, we try and get to an Origin every couple of years. The banter's great. My brother, I said earlier, he's a Newcastle fan, but he's born and bred Brisbane, so he's a Queenslander through and through. Yeah, the banter that goes through it is brilliant. I should set up a shrine to Trent Hodkinson for finally ending that drought way back when. A lot of pain, mate, as you know, but last year I reckon that was my favourite series victory ever. I think that was on top of 05. I'd have it on top of 05. I thought they were so gutsy to come back after losing game 1, play the footy they did. I'm devastated Madge is gone. That win in the third game, the decider, that was just brilliant.
Yeah, very fortunate that Mitchell Moses is player of the match in game number 2 and probably scored that game-sealing try in game number 3 and had his best ever, I guess you could say, representative season last year. Hopefully he can replicate that this year. The change of coach, do you think that it's going to make a massive difference to the New South Wales side this year? Can they go back-to-back?
Oh, they definitely can. I do think it's a massive difference, because I think the players, and it's not a knock on Freddie, look, he won multiple series, he was a successful coach, but even the very best coaches in the game, maybe besides Bellamy, at some stage outstay their welcome. And it was probably time for Freddie to go. What Madge had done, they became a really tough football team. And we saw that even though they lost game 1, obviously they lost to Elite so early, so it was hard to judge. Game 3, they out-Queenslanded Queensland. They stayed in the arm wrestle, and then in the minutes and Queensland have been so good at this for so long, where Queensland normally do what they do, that's minutes sort of 60 through 80, New South Wales were easily the better side, and they had the big moments. And I think Madge played a huge part in that. So I think Laurie Daly, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if I love bringing a coach back, but that's, again, just my opinion. But the biggest decision he'll have to make is turning 3 into 2. And by that, I mean Cleary, Moses, and Luai. How do you make that work? Because Cleary will play. They'll pick him.
Yeah.
But then what do you do?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's an interesting one because, Moses was the winning halfback last year.
And he was outstanding. He was the best half on either side.
Yeah, but then Cleary's the best halfback in the game.
Yep. So do you put Moses at 6 and is Luai the unlucky one? Or does Luai maybe play 14? I'm glad I'm not a coach because I don't have the answer to this question, but I don't think Moses can miss out. I think you've got to fit him in that side. So if I had to pick a team right now, months early, I'd have to go Cleary at 7 and Moses to 6.
Yeah, nah. I think it. Yeah, I agree. I think it probably depends on how Luai is going to go at the Tigers and how the Tigers are going. I guess.
Yep.
In the lead up to State of Origin, but you certainly he'd be in the discussion. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of, no doubt, there would have been a little bit of banter State of Origin time with your former co-host on the Rush Hour in Queensland, AB. I've struck up a bit of a friendship with AB over the last couple of years. No doubt there would have been a bit of banter there.
Yeah. Yeah, always. And not just a State of Origin level, Clubland. AB, she'll listen to this. I guarantee she'll listen to this. AB has taken an earn from all the Queensland teams. I said, where's your support, mate? You've worked for the Dolphins. You worked for the Titans. You've followed the Broncos. You've taken an earn from the Cowboys at some stage. You take. You never give back to your state. Dead set. But no, she's a very passionate Queenslander. She's a better winner than I am, I will say that. She's... When the Maroons would win, she knew to leave me alone for most of the day. She'd sort of throw the odd barb. Whereas if New South Wales would win, you couldn't wipe the smile off my face. Yeah. I'd play that stupid Wiggles song, New South Wales, wear the blues, Queensland, you're going to lose, over and over and over again till it hurt. But yeah, there was certainly a little bit of back and forth there.
Yeah, shout out to AB as well. Great supporter of the podcast. And actually, Alex from Maroochydore has a question. How many golf clubs have ended up wrapped around a metal pole at Rose Bay Golf Club last year or this year?
Yeah, so Alex is AB's husband, and I know he listens to your podcast. He's a mad keen Southman, and he was my golf partner for a long time, but then he left me. I can safely say I haven't thrown any clubs lately, but he was witness to, I think it was an 8-iron, but obviously it's the club's fault, that I shanked at Rose Bay in Townsville. Great course, shout out to them. And I just was having a day where nothing was going right. So unfortunately, I can't remember exactly how it went, but I think maybe I'd thrown a club in a tree, then the next hole, the 8-iron, I just stepped on, snapped in half, and then thrown straight in the pond. So we've learnt to manage our anger since then, but it wasn't a good day.
Oh, look, we all have those days.
Exactly, yeah.
From time to
time. Horrible game.
Yeah, well, it is. It is a very frustrating game unless you can play it well. I'm a bit of a hacker myself. I haven't played golf in a long time. I normally sort of ask rugby league players and the like these sort of questions, but I'll try and throw it around to like a commentator and fan. In Triple M, who do you think is the prankster at Triple M, and what do they get up to? Everyone needs some sort of like prankster or joker.
Oh, yeah, but there's so many of them. Maroon's one, but for reasons like I said before. Maroon will less prankster, more will just try and piss people off till they go at him in a fun way. He's one. Woodsy, obviously. But I think an underrated one, and I don't have too much to do with him, always been lovely when I've dealt with him, but just hearing stories, Jimmy Graham, the hard-nosed Jimmy Graham, loves a good time, and I think he likes a bit of back and forth with that stuff. So I'm told he was the MVP in Vegas last year when the Triple M team went. I expect him to be right up there again this year, but they probably be my three. I go Maroon, Woodsy, because Woodsy's got a grin on him like he's 6 years old all the time. You forget he's 120 kilos and whatever he is. And then, Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, Aaron Wood's doing a fine job over there in the US at the moment, promoting the upcoming game, getting his face on US TV and the like. And
He was on wrestling the other day.
yeah,
I saw it. I messaged him. I said, "What's going on?" They said they have one of the wrestling shows, WWE. I think it's Raw on Netflix, and they quite often will pan around the crowd, so it'll be like it'll pan to LeBron in the crowd saying LeBron,
okay.
NBA legend, yada yada. It did it with Woodsy. So it said Aaron Woods, NRL legend, yada yada, and the commentators were speaking about it. It was very cool.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It just shows you that hopefully the game will grow over there and the exposure will grow even more. Is there a commentator that you would love to get the opportunity to commentate with that you haven't already?
Maybe not commentate with, because I suppose unless you're doing sideline, like if you're doing a lead call, for the most part you've got experts around you. But I'd say if I was going to do a sideline, I'd love to go back in time and do one where Rabs was calling. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I could say, your experts beside you if you're the lead call. I'm sure I will at some stage this year because he's doing quite a few of the games. I'm looking forward to doing a game with Todd Carney. I think his transition into radio has been excellent. If anyone's ever listened to Triple M, heard him do a game, I love listening to a half because I think the way a half can pick apart a game is unlike anyone else. And his way of reading the game, for me, for the limited time he's been on radio, is really good. So I'm excited for that. I think the other one too is, and we did one with him last week, we did a trial, the Broncos-Titans game. Christian Welch came on to Triple M, and he'll be doing more this year. I forgot he's such an intelligent but funny man. He's outstanding. He's very much only cares about the front rowers, and fair enough. But I think he's going to be a super talent in the media for many years to come.
Yeah, no, shout out to Todd Carney. He played in the Sports Shed TV charity game last weekend.
Oh, he played with Junior, didn't he?
Yeah.
How did he go?
The 6 and the 7s. Yeah, he went pretty good.
Yeah, right.
He enjoyed it, and unfortunately their team lost, but...
right. I saw. Oh, who was it? One of the ex-players absolutely lined up one of the big fronties. I saw the video of that.
Yeah, that was Brad Takarangi.
That's right. Oh, I don't know if that bloke's okay. I hope he is. But Brad Takarangi would have been half the bloke's size, and he sent him in the next week.
Yeah, no, it certainly was a good hit. I think I'm not 100% sure whether he would have got 3 to 4 weeks in the NRL competition.
Yeah, he'd be out the first month. He'd gone. But geez, he belted him.
Taka seems to think it was a good, clean hit, but
okay.
I think the judiciary would have something else to do with that.
I agree with you. Yeah.
If you didn't go down the radio path, what sort of job do you think you would have taken down or committed to?
Well, when I was a kid, I actually played baseball as a kid. It was my main sport, and I played over in the States for a bit when I finished school, but I thought I was good enough to make it, and then I got there and realised I was nowhere near it. So I ruled that out. But probably the only other one was when I was first trying to get into radio, I had actually done a quick course for the police, for the coppers, and I put in my application, done my beep test, all of that, and hadn't heard back for a while. And then I got a call about a radio gig in Broken Hill, which I was really excited about. It was my first gig. I was getting ready to pack up. Then an hour later, the coppers called me saying I'd gotten in to the academy. So I called my stepdad, who is actually a retired police officer of 40 years. I said, what do I do?
Yeah.
He said, mate, like, it's your decision, but the paperwork with the coppers isn't worth it. Go and do radio. So I did, and that was the end of it. So.
Yeah, wow. Okay, interesting. Fair few, back in the day anyway, not these days, but a fair few rugby league players were police officers back in the day. Bill Harrigan, Paul Sheridan.
I don't know how I'd go now because I'm at this stage. I'm still doing some stuff with Triple M with footy and Dead Set Legends, but just doing a bit of sporadic work. So I think about full time stuff. I think about would you become a copper? And then I get off the couch and my back hurts. And I think no, it's not an option anymore. Maybe 15 years ago, not now.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And speaking of Dead Set Legends, it's with Ben Hannant, isn't it?
Yep.
The polar bear?
Yep. Yeah, we do that on the Gold Coast every Saturday morning. he's a joy. And it's funny because I went into that show not really knowing Benny, thinking he might be a bit of a weird unit, 8 kids, doesn't drink. I didn't know anything about the Mormon faith, which is his, and a few other things. And then after doing that show for the last year and a bit with him, he'd be in the top 3 kindest human beings I've ever worked with. He'd probably be 1 or 2, to be honest with you. He is a wonderful man. He's a bit offensive at times, but he is so kind. He'd do anything for anyone. I could call him right now and say, Ben, I need 20 grand. He wouldn't ask why.
Yeah.
Not that I have ever borrowed money. I want to go on the record saying that. But no, he's good fun. We just jab at each other back and forth. And when you actually do dive into the footy side of things, he's very knowledgeable. And, I mean, great stuff for him. And he tells me every time I see him, he's the only person ever to win a premiership at the Cowboys and the Broncos. So he holds that one.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's true. Very true. I think, what was it, 06 and obviously 15.
Yep. And
played off the bench, I think, in 15.
Yeah, and he just, he's got great stories too of when he was a kid coming through at the Broncos, playing with Webke, with Petro. And, mate, he was, and this is one of the things I admire about him, he was living on the Gold Coast when he first got to the Broncos, living on the Gold Coast, was packing fruit at night to make ends meet, and then training and playing. So he would go from his house in the Gold Coast, this is his day, right? His house at the Gold Coast, he wakes up at midnight or 11 p.m, goes and packs fruit till about 6 a.m, gets to training for about 7, goes and does all his footy and whatever, all of that, gets home by about 6 p.m, back to the Goldie, goes to sleep at about 7:30 p.m, and then would wake up at 11 to do it all again. And he did that for a couple of years. Like this, I don't know anyone that would do that. I had no idea. I didn't even think that he would have done something like that. But he grew up without a lot of money, and all he really cares about is being happy and that his family's happy. I can't say enough nice things, to be honest. This feels like a Ben Hannant tribute show now, but he's a good boy.
Yeah, no, he is. I'm hoping to get him on the podcast soon. But I actually met Ben at the grand final lunch last year, and we had a bit of a chat, and on stage, he had a bit of a chat, and he actually did mention the fruit story there, and no doubt he also brings up the Scratchy story every now and again too.
Yeah. Well, how much did he win on the Scratchy?
I think he said 200,000. I think.
Yeah.
And that's when he was a young bloke at the Roosters.
Crazy. 200 grand on a Scratchy.
And he had to check with the receptionist. Oh, have I won? Because he didn't know, but.
He's got so many yarns. His wife's wonderful too, Emma. I know for a fact Emma's always said that if Craig Wing had approached her instead of Ben, she would have left him in a heartbeat, but it didn't work out that way.
Funny. Well, we'll get into the set of 6 and sort of like the personality sort of questions. Favourite sport outside of rugby league?
NFL. NFL is my great love. I've been a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan for a long time. I got a T-shirt of them when my aunt was a nanny in Tampa when I was a kid.
Okay.
I didn't even know what the sport was at that stage, but then I would start. Can't even remember what the equivalent of YouTube was, but you could find some stuff online. So I'd start watching stuff about them. Fell in love. I actually went to the States a couple of years ago. Finally saw them live.
Nice.
A couple of times over there. Yeah, I love my NFL. I can't wait for it to come over here, actually.
And no doubt, happy a couple of years ago with Tom Brady when they won the Super Bowl.
It was my favourite ever sporting memory. You talk about the Knights memories and all that. I was so young when the Knights won in 01 that probably didn't appreciate it that much. Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl was, the greatest day of my sports fan life.
I could imagine that it's probably like myself when Parramatta hopefully eventually win a competition again.
It'll happen. It'll happen, mate. Keep hanging on.
Oh, I am. Don't worry. People remind me. 39 years and counting. Longest drought in the NRL.
Wow.
I was 3, 4, 5, and 7 when they won their 4 premierships. So to celebrate it now will be like yourself with Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl. But that'll be pretty good coming down to Melbourne next year.
Yeah.
I just have my doubts about it being played at the MCG, though, being the round field, but...
Round field, but I don't think there's many bad views at the MCG, whatever sport you might watch. So I still think they'll get it right. And look, the game itself will be good, but it'll be a lot about the build-up during the week, the atmosphere, all that kind of thing. It'll be 100,000+ there. And it'll be the beginning of a long-term partnership. You know, NFL Australia already has a partnership with the Rams and with Philly.
Okay.
You expect that to continue moving forward. I'm just excited to see who LA end up playing.
Okay, yeah. Who do you think will...
Well, I don't think it'll be Philly because I think I'd say the next year Philly will probably be the home side.
Okay.
And we'll bring someone out. I could be wrong. But, you know, a safe bet is maybe somewhere in their division. It could be someone like Arizona. I'm not sure. I'm purely speculating, but I'd love it to be Tampa Bay. That'd be nice.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. We've already done that one. What's one unique thing that people may not know about Elliott Lovejoy?
I'm incredibly introverted.
Yeah.
I hate crowds of people. I hate public speaking. I don't even like standing up in front of 5 people at work and having to tell them a story. One-on-one is fine, and the radio stuff's fine because, again, you're just speaking to one person or someone on the phone or whatever. Even the sideline stuff at footy I don't mind because I got my headphones on. I can sort of disappear into the abyss. But, socially challenged, I'll put it. I like my own time, my own space, my own company. And I should say my partner and my dogs too. But, that's about it.
No, fair enough. How are you going to go with 100,000 people at the MCG then?
I might have to put my headphones in. Yeah, I'll see how we go.
That's it. I usually say which 3 former teammates, but I'll say which 3 commentators wouldn't you want to be on or radio hosts, wouldn't you want to be on a deserted island with, and why?
Which 3? I'll go Aaron Woods, because I reckon he'd do my nana after a while. I'm going to go Ben Dobb in there as well, because I reckon the same thing. Dobbo and I have been great mates for a lot of years, but he would do my absolute nut. And Maroon, because I reckon Maroon would find food, but he wouldn't tell you about it.
Okay.
He'd find great snacks. He'd probably be a good hunter and gatherer, but he wouldn't tell me, and he'd just eat it himself, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, Maroon, Dobbo, and Aaron Woods.
Nah, fair enough, yeah. Nah, good trio there. Well, which other trio? Now, you're hosting a dinner party.
Yep.
First of all, what is your specialty meal that you're going to cook for 3 guests?
I would admit happily my cooking is not much chop. I can do a half okay lamb roast, so I'll say that because it's safe. Lamb roast. And what was the other question, sorry? Which 3 guests?
Yeah. So which 3 people, either dead or alive, that you haven't met before, would you want to invite?
That I haven't met before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Who would you love to meet and have a dinner party with?
I will go Tiger Woods, because I'd love to get inside his psyche from a golf perspective. I think he's probably the toughest mentally athlete that we've ever seen on our tellies. I don't want to get this wrong. So Tiger Woods is definitely one. Number 2, never met. I'll go Tom Brady.
Okay.
Because again, I think it would be interesting conversation. I'd love to learn some things from it. And just because I would love to see what he's like one-on-one, and I'm not saying whether I'm a fan or I'm not a fan or whatever, I'm not trying to stir a pot, but I would love to meet Trump. I would just like to see one-on-one, whether it's a toned-down experience, whether it's what you see on telly or what it is, but I'd be interested to meet him.
Yeah, nice. That would be certainly an interesting conversation. Do you think President Trump will be at Las Vegas on the weekend at the NRL?
No, I don't. But I admire. I really do admire what Volandis has done in the campaign trail to try and get some big names there. They might have an offsider or something, head along and see it. But I think one thing I'd like to see us do is next time we go to Vegas, instead of the 4 to 6 week build up, do it for 3 to 6 months. And look, they may do it with some billboards and whatever. I'm not sure already, but I'd love to see it in the American face a bit more. If we're really committed, which it looks like we are, to building that audience, why not go all out?
Have some sort of like, I guess you could say, like grand final watch party in Las Vegas.
Well, why not? If it's on Fox, for example, or why not? And this would cost squillions, but if that's what they really want to do, why couldn't the pipe dream be that an NRL commercial's played during the Super Bowl? And I'm aware of the costs that go with that, but could we ever get to a point where that's the case, where, you know, the amount of eyes on a Super Bowl is unlike any other sporting event? Maybe that's the go.
Yeah, okay, interesting. Very interesting, that one. Yeah, certainly would get a lot of eyeballs on that one. Favourite musician or band to listen to?
I actually saw him in Melbourne a couple of days ago. A guy called Tyler Childers. He's a, I suppose, country/folk singer. And he brings he calls him his hillbilly band along with him. Saw him at the Sydney My Music Bowl. I think there's about 15,000+ there,
Okay.
which was really cool. Got a couple of songs in the Yellowstone series as well. He's just, he's a good relaxing listen for me. And probably more old school. I grew up on the Beatles as well. I always liked the Beatles. My pa had a whole bunch of albums, so I'd listen to them a lot.
What's your favourite Beatles song?
While My Guitar Gently Weeps.
Oh, yes, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Good one. What's your favourite holiday destination?
The US, because of the sport. That tour I did recently, I went by myself because my partner, she's a pom. She actually had her family visiting Australia, and they're doing all this tourist stuff I'd already done. I didn't ask. She said, I know you've been thinking about doing that US trip. I give you the blessing to do it now. And I booked the ticket straight away before she could change her mind. So I went and did, I think I did 28 days, and I did 17 live games and about 6 states or something silly like that. So ice hockey, basketball, college basketball, college football, and football. They're all on at the same time because the bowl games are on for the football. And I will say, if anyone ever goes to the US, like, go and see the football or basketball, but the best live sport is hockey.
Okay.
NHL is a phenomenal live sport to watch.
Yeah, no, I can only imagine. But if you can let me know the secret, can you please tell me? Because I'm trying to get over to Vegas when Parramatta get over there. So if you know the
Pure
secret...
luck.
Yeah,
I think I caught it. Honestly, it caught me by surprise. I'm not joking. She said, go book it, and within half an hour, I'd booked a flight from, I think it was Brisbane to Tampa Airport, and it was done. And I'd only just booked that one leg, so I thought, well, if I've booked it, then we can't go back. So,
yeah, no, that's amazing. But yeah, as I said, I don't think I've got a chance in going to see Parramatta over in Vegas, but without trying to make it a family holiday. But
true.
We'll just have to wait and see.
Disney World and then there.
Well, yeah, we're gonna have to throw that in there. That's for sure. What's and the last one? What's a favourite movie of all time?
Oh, my top two are Jaws, and I don't know if you've ever seen Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner. Yeah, they'd be my two.
Yeah, great movies, those ones. That is for sure. Well, Elliott Lovejoy, thank you very much for joining me today on the Paracave podcast. Very enjoyable. I'm sure we could probably have chatted rugby league for a long time. And where can people catch you coming forward?
Just part of the Triple M footy coverage. I'd normally do at least a game a week somewhere, so you'll hear me on that. And still doing the Dead Set Legends on the Goldie with Ben Hannant, and maybe some more stuff sort of in the pipeline. But I'm probably a bit up in the air at the moment, so I'll see how the year unfolds.
Not a problem. Well, thank you very much for joining me today.
Easy, brother.
And welcome back to the podcast, and thank you for listening to part number 2 of the interview with Elliott Lovejoy. I hope you really enjoyed not only this part, but part 1 as well. Thank you once again to Elliott for his time. I really appreciate it, and his chat as well. It was really interesting. I think the most interesting part I found out of that interview was where the term the greatest game of all was coined. So something very, very interesting, and something that I guess rugby league lovers especially here in Australia, and a lot of commentators do use a lot. So interesting to find out where that started, the origins of that, and something very close to his family, that is for sure. So thank you once again, Elliott, for your time. Now, just quickly, the NRL season kicks off in a couple of days' time, very, very soon. So if you haven't, please join the Paracave Podcast tipping competition, which is run through ESPN Tips. You'll see the link in the bio of the Paracave Podcast on Instagram. For those of you on Facebook, there will be posts in the past on the Paracave Podcast that you will see where you can join. I think there was one done just recently with 7 days to go, so check that one out. I think the link is there as well. Thank you once again to Assure Strata Reports and also Buddy Oldman Masters Boxer for providing the cash prizes for that competition. So a lot of fun to be had, a lot of tips to be had, and a lot of banter to be had, no doubt, that is for sure. So if you would like to also support the podcast as well, also on the Instagram page in the bio is the Buy Me a Coffee link as well. That will go to supporting the podcast, supporting the costs of running the podcast. I will bring the podcast to you for free, but there is costs involved by running this podcast. So if you would like to help support the podcast, then you can buy me a coffee. Now, it's not a real coffee, even though I do enjoy my coffees from time to time. It is like a virtual coffee, but it is helping out the podcast, so I'd really appreciate the support there as well. And if you are indeed interested in sponsoring the podcast as well, please send me a DM and we will work something out for sure. There is a couple of positions available for the podcast, exclusive naming rights for podcasts throughout the week. So please, if you're interested, if you would like to give your business a little bit more exposure, then please contact the podcast and we will work something out for sure. That is another interview-based podcast done for the week. Stay tuned for next week as well. There'll be another interview-based podcast and also some more game day preview podcasts as well, with it being the first round of the competition for the Parramatta Eels, who take on the Melbourne Storm down there at Amy Park on Sunday the 9th of March at 4:05pm. So stay tuned to the Instagram page and the Facebook pages of the Paracave Podcast to see what's coming up. Thank you very much for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope I haven't rambled on too much, but the Paracave Podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. See you next time.